just a little word on the war in Ukraine. It's a very strange thing. I mean, to me, I practically cannot understand it, that Vladimir Putin is going with his eyes wide open into his political suicide, because this is a political suicide. The fact is, I think, that Putin understands now, today is the 4th of March. By the 4th of March today, I think that Putin understands that this is a political suicide, that he's made a big mistake, that this was a big blunder. He shouldn't have done it. He should have played hide and seek with Biden and with NATO and with the EU, and just show what he needed to show in that way, and solve it by diplomatic efforts. It's very understandable that Putin really needs to protect the Ukraine from NATO and from the European Union, because that means to protect Russia. He doesn't want the Ukraine to be a member of NATO, and he doesn't want Ukraine to be a part of the European Union. This is very understandable. He needs a buffer zone. Putin wants a buffer zone. He wants the Ukraine to be neutral or a part of Russia, or a Russian satellite state. I guess a Russian satellite state would be the most appropriate. But he cannot achieve that. It's simply he cannot achieve that. So he has to see that the train has left the station for that. It's just not possible. So what does he do? He can play diplomacy and try to protect his interests in a clever way, or he can go to war in a full-scale invasion, as he has done now. And as the circumstances are, both within the Ukraine, the political atmosphere inside the Ukraine, and as the opinion is on the world stage, in the world community, in the global world society, he should not go to war. He should not invade, because it looks, he will actually lose. He will lose a lot on this. And it's not only the fact that he's going to make Russia suffer for this for a long time, especially economically. Russia will really suffer from this for a long time. But the fact is that he himself made a political suicide, and that was not a clever thing of him, because he shouldn't have done that. He really shouldn't have done that, because he has the ambition to stay in power for 4, 5, 6, 7 years more. And that's simply just not possible within Russia, I think, let's say a year after this political suicide that he is committing now. So I think that, today, now it's 2022. I think that next year it's going to be, in 2023, it's going to be a very hard, very difficult year for Vladimir Putin. And because it's going to be a difficult year for Vladimir Putin, it's going to be a very difficult year for Russia, because they have to do something about leadership. What the hell are they going to do? So that's going to be difficult for them. So this was not a clever thing, Putin. This was not a clever thing for you or for Russia. It was the wrong choice. And unfortunately, you're going to suffer and pay for this mistake for a long time to come. And when you see the acts of war, bombing bombing and missiles that is hitting Ukrainian soil, Ukrainian cities, and Ukrainian people, you will also know that this is criminal behavior, and no one is going to accept such a behavior in Europe, because it's more or less Europe now in 2022. No one is going to accept that. You cannot open a war, you cannot go to war now in this way. It's just not possible. So it's just a political suicide. Your solution is outdated, it doesn't work anymore. And to insist on violence, killing, bombing, and missiles into the Ukraine, onto the Ukrainian soil, into Ukrainian lives and human beings, killing and destroying, is it's a very bad mistake. It's a very bad mistake, and it's going to be very costly for Russia, for sure, for actually for years to come. So this was just a comment, and the conclusion or the essence of this comment was that I regard the actions of Vladimir Putin in this time as more or less a political suicide. It's a political harakiri. I mean, he's he's not only making a fool of himself, but he's actually making a political suicide, in my mind. Okay, thank you.